Hey, have you ever heard of A.I.M? A.I.M? It means the American Indian Movement. It also means conspiracy to be free. In the years after Wounded Knee, this shit really hit the fan. Conspiracy to riot, conspiracy to do great bodily harm, conspiracy to overthrow the United States of America.
What I was most impressed about when you said that you had written an autobiography was that when you were writing your autobiography and you realized that other people who wrote autobiographies didn't tell the truth. And when you wrote your autobiography, there was demeaning or defaming to your knob, but that you basically were, letting your hair down and pouring it like that.
Well, what struck me, why that came to mind, is all the newspaper reviews. And in every run of the reviews, except for 3 of them, they all mentioned the honesty. The reviewers were struck by the honesty of and I couldn't believe, why would they put that in there? And then on my book tours, my different book tours that the publisher put me on, and that my co-author and I initiated on our own, I found out from book dealers that most autobiographies are not completely truthful, that they're really designed to be self-serving, and which as experienced as I am in the white man's society, he still continues to surprise me. Yes, I can't understand. I really can't. I can't grasp how someone could tell their life story and not tell the truth, and not be completely honest. It just really, really befuddles me.
You said it took you 2 years to write your book. So at the beginning of that 2 years, what was it that you were going through? Like, what transpired in your life on either some emotional, mental, or spiritual plane that you finally said, look, this is it. This is my life. I want to purge my feelings. I want to purge my thoughts. I want to be heard, but I want people to know who I am.
No, that wasn't it at all. In the spring of '92, around late May, early June, the originator, the inventor of the Playboy interview, came to interview me. At that time, Murray Fisher. What are you doing?
I was just checking it. It's all right. It kept stopping when we stopped talking. It was on an automatic voice react thing, and now it's on normal. So when you stopped talking, it stopped, and it got me nervous. I couldn't tell if it was the batteries or not. Go ahead.
Murray Fisher, who was then an editor of Playboy magazine, came to interview me and laid me for the Playboy interview. He was the originator, founder of the Playboy interview. After spending 3 days with him in a tape recorder, he told me that I should write my story, my life story, because I have something that the world needs to know. Now, since 1973, at Wounded Knee, I've been approached by different authors of varying fame to do my autobiography, and I've always refused, because I just felt that I just refused because I just didn't want to do it. I thought it was arrogant. So I considered it. I took Murray Fisher seriously because he had been the editor for the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he had been the editor of Alex Haley's Roots. So he knew what he was talking about. So I reconsidered, and in that consideration, I came, again, it crystallized in my mind that for Indian people born in the 20th century, we have no history. The American Indian people do not exist in the 20th century. Anywhere. You can't find us anywhere. And so, not in any history books, nothing. We're not in any curriculum. Just obscure college classes on different campuses around the country study us, and anthropological, Eurocentric male racist studies are done upon us, our past, but nothing about the 20th century, unless it's debilitating, trivialization of who we are as Indian people. So I felt that something had to be said because of that our young people have to know that we existed in the 20th century. So I used my family tree. And that's why I went to them.
When you were writing the book, and you were reflecting on your past and you were looking at your childhood, what were like some profound things that came out, like for your own personal awareness when you were reflecting back? Were you shocked at some of the things you've done? Were you proud of your courage? Were you,
Of course, and this is why I recommend that everyone should do their own history, their own autobiographies, whether they get it published or not is immaterial. Because just the therapeutic value alone is worth the effort.
Kind of like when you
just
journal
relive your life.
Right.
Relive your life. Everyone's life is important, and they should relive it. They should go over it. It's the same reason they tell you to take history in school. You should go over your life. Revisit your dreams. Revisit your youth. Revisit your innocence. Revisit your grief. Revisit your pain. Revisit the hurts. Revisit the happiness. Revisit the laughter. Revisit all those people you want to revisit.
When you were reviewing your life, was there any moment that when you were reviewing it that you felt like you could have done better, or that you had misjudged a situation, or that?
I'm very fortunate in that all my life, of course, it comes from a teaching of my father. He used to always tell me two things. Anything bad happens to you, it's your own damn fault. But if you learn from it, then it was good. So nothing bad happened to you. That's one thing. And the other thing was, what was it? That's the teaching. Those two things. So, I learned from my life. I wouldn't change a minute.
People like me, my first awareness about any Indian movement came from you, basically, because I was from a younger generation. I wasn't really aware. I grew up in the Civil War with the blacks, basically, blacks getting their freedoms, and the Indians were something that I had read about in, or seen in old movies, the old black and white movies, that these were the old westerns, like, hey, these are Indians, and the white men are shooting at Indians. When you were in the 70s, and you went to Wounded Knee and you were living there, what was your main driver? What was your main motive? Was to be politically involved? Were you able, did you have the awareness at the time that you saw the wrongs and there was something inside of you that wanted to stand up for your human rights? What was it that drove you? And what emotions were you feeling when you were involved
Pride
in it?
and self-dignity. That's what drove me to be in the movement. Pride and self-dignity and being an Indian.
What was your goal? What was your
Freedom.
The freedom.
And that's one of the themes of my book, my autobiography, is the concept of what is it? It runs throughout my life, the whole concept of freedom.
And when you talk about freedom, what type of freedom are you talking about?
I'm talking about there's only one concept of freedom. How can there be more than one concept of freedom?
How did you feel about that comment that I made earlier about that man saying, oh, if the Indian system really worked, because everybody says now, oh yeah, the Indians have it together, we should have stayed with their system, we would still be surviving as a species, the planet would still be clean. We should have learned from the Indians, and that man said, well, look, if the Indian system really worked, the white man wouldn't have beat him. Yeah, but don't you think he's missing something there? That he went into the materialistic, technological stage and didn't, you know?
He's the typical racist, a rapist, a murderer.
What are your goals now? What do you want to do now? What are your goals, Russ? What do you want to see happen?
They haven't changed from my youth. I want freedom.
What's this new treaty thing that you're working on?
It's not new, actually. It was only 1984. The treaty is the acronym. It's T.R.E.A.T.Y, treaty. It's the acronym for True Revolution for the Elders, Ancestors, Treaties, and Youth.
Can you say that again slowly for the rest of it? Because I want to make sure I get that right.
True Revolution for the Elders, Ancestors, Treaties, and Youth.
And what's this organization for?
Freedom.
Freedom. And you're trying to gain back our Indian rights as far as like...
No, we're not going. We're going to reassert
Reassert.
Indian rights.
And what are the known Indian rights? Because what's known, the Indian
Sovereign Indian rights.
Okay, what Indians know to be sovereign Indian rights is a lot different from somebody like me who's totally uneducated about what sovereign Indian rights are. So could you elaborate on that?
Well, sovereign, what is sovereignty? That's what you have to determine. That's individual sovereignty, freedom for the individual. That's what our culture was all about. That's what we taught the European, and that's what we taught his descendant, the American. And of course, the descendants of the Americans are now taking away those individual freedoms, and that's what's wrong with America and the rest of the world. And that's why there's massive annihilation of indigenous peoples around the globe at this very moment, because we are the only one left that champion individual rights through representative government. We taught that again. Once again, I say we taught that. So that's freedom and sovereignty actually mean the same thing. You are free to do anything you want to do as long as you don't harm another living being.
You have a
fund,
a treaty fund now for the Total Emergence Educational Project in Pine Ridge Sioux Reservation. Is that South Dakota?
Right.
Okay, now is that what exactly, and the funds that you receive from your book are going to be donated to this project to help enhance the education of the Indians on the reservation. You want to teach them their native tongue again? Do you want them to teach the ancient cultures, the tradition, arts and crafts? You want all of that? Or what is it exactly that, besides the freedom and the sovereignty and human rights, are you going to go for the culture? Are you going to go for,
Total immersion means exactly what it says. Total immersion. In this country, it's against the law to be an Indian. We can try to be anything else we want to be, but to be an Indian, it's the law.
Why?
It's against the law, okay? That's why there's genocide. That's why we have no freedom of religion. We don't have the right to pray in this country. Scalia in the present Rehnquist court has met in opinions by Scalia and, what's that woman's name?
I don't know.
Sandra Day O'Connor. Those two people have come together with recent decisions on the Supreme Court denying us the right to pray in this country in our traditional way of life. So that's gone for us. We don't have the right on reservations of any of the Bill of Rights. So that's what I mean. It's against the law to be an Indian in this country. If we try to be Indian, we're either killed and or imprisoned. Well, let me put it that way. We're either imprisoned and or killed.
Which reservation is it that is selling or like leasing out its land for the nuclear dump? Which one is it?
It doesn't make any difference. That's not an issue.
You don't think that's an issue?
No, it isn't an issue. It's the white man that's dumping it, okay? That's number one. Number two, the white man has been dumping nuclear waste all over this globe continuously since they started raping Mother Earth. Toxic materials have been for centuries. So it's nothing new for the white man to throw his garbage around space, let alone Mother Earth. So that's why I say it's immaterial if it's Indian land, because that's bullshit.
But did they have any control over that, or was that a pressed issue that they were going to have to accept that dumping?
Refer to all of the above.
So basically they were pressured into it.
Refer to all of the above.
What is your outlook for the future? If you're when you're being realistic, not being idealistic, but realistically, when you think of what's happening to the earth and mankind and humans as a species, and thinking about your children, what do you think is what's in store for this world and this planet in the next 50 years?
I never tried to explain the unexplainable. I just go by the teachings of my ancestors, and the teachings of my ancestors is to condition each and every one of us as decent human beings who strive to do better as humans. That's all I can teach myself, and that's all I can teach my children. As long as we strive to be someone better than we are today, then that's all I can do.
You got anything you want to say? I mean,
Let me be a free man, free to travel, free to stop, free to trade where I choose, free to choose my own teachers, free to follow the religion of my fathers, free to talk, think, and act for myself, and I will obey every law or submit to the penalty. Chief Joseph, 1870. Wait.